Let's race them cars, mon.
Hello, welcome to episode 66 of Chet and John's reassuringly finite gaming playlist. My name is John Denton. With me, as always, Chet Roivas.
Ahoy!
You know, the deal 2 top 10 lists. 10 being the game we played the least this week, 1 being the game we played the most. Enough fucking about, got a good list this week. Let's do it. Chet, number 10.
Right, okay. My number 10 is a game called Reality Bytes on the Xbox 360.
Oh, right, the excellent Ben Stiller directed movie from the night.
It's slightly better than that, actually.
Not hard.
No, it's... Yeah, okay, Reality Bytes is Bytes with a Y. The only reason I downloaded it, it's an indie game, is because it perfectly replicates the neon blue and pink Miami Vice font and writing. Reality Bytes. I thought, great. What I didn't look at was what was below it, which is a picture of a bullet that looked like Pac-Man. If I'd have paid any attention to that, I might have thought twice before downloading this. I didn't. I downloaded it. It is literally Pac-Man. Literally, I mean, it's Pac-Man. I played it for the whole duration of the trial. Pac-Man's still all right to play.
Yeah, Pac-Man's all right.
The thing is, I mean, there's a couple of nice touches. I suppose you can alter the speed if you want. It's literally Pac-Man. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the guy that invented Pac-Man. 10 minutes is more than enough, so why would you pay the 80 points? Just keep doing the trial.
Very true.
But yeah, it's just Pac-Man. But I enjoyed it, sort of, kind of.
Yeah, a good bit of Packers is all right.
That's it, mate.
My number 10 is same as last week. That Slave of God that I was talking about, the trippy club experience. I thought I'll try it again with a slightly clearer head, and I got a bit further. It's incredibly psychedelic's an annoying word, but I can't think of a better word. The colours and the way that everything kind of pulses and moves about together is nauseating, quite frankly. And it's cool, but I can't really take it. This time I managed to progress into the club, kind of got onto the dance floor. You seem to start dancing with someone, and then like a heart comes up, like you're having an emotional connection. And I'm like, this is cool. This is clearly some cool ideas, and it's very, overstyled in a cool way. But eventually, once again, unfortunately, I can't take it. My eyes hurt, my head hurts, and I had to turn it off. I think you'd need to be, seeing as I struggle with most games at the best of times, anything with a slightly dodgy frame rate gives me a headache. So this was just torture. But it'd be interesting. It's a very weird game, obviously. I'd be interested to see if you played it, if you could hack it.
Well, I'll talk about it in a minute. I might as well wait, because otherwise it will break up it will fuck up the rotation. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck up the rotation.
Yeah. I'll talk about that in a sec. But my number 9 is another Xbox Live indie game, and it's called Island Adventure 3. The fact that it's the third one leads me, obviously, to assume that there's been success in the past. The cover interested me because it's 2 computer-generated bikini-clad women with the tagline "Penultimate Climax." It's developed by I think it's an English development team or an English guy called Ingenious Fun. The other games they've made include Kiss Kiss and Who's Gonna Get the Girl. So I mean, you don't need any prizes.
I certainly don't want to meet them.
Well, I'll tell you something. They're not massively proud of this game, or the guy or the team. They're not massively proud of it because all of the names on the credits list are pseudonyms. Like one of the pseudonyms is Masked Coder.
Right.
And I think that's because if someone found out that they made this game, they would get fucking grounded, because there is no way this is the work of an adult or adults, and if it is, we're in real fucking trouble. It's also a 3D version if you want that. But basically, it's not really a game. It's the most basic point-and-click adventure you can imagine, with 4 arrows in the top corner. You move between the most nondescript environments I've ever seen in a game. They're basically identical. A forest at night time. A tree from a different angle. I mean, it's laughable. Occasionally, a woman in a bikini will pop up. There's one bit where you encounter a demon, and it's a woman in a bikini, and it comes up with an option: do this, do that, try shake the bridge. She's on a bridge. All these options, and basically, if she can kill you, you die, and then you have to start again. Or if you succeed, She falls off the edge of the bridge, but they make sure that the screenshot of her falling has the eye line staring right up between her legs. There's another bit where a woman walks up to you and says, "Can I borrow one of your empty bottles?" And if you say no, she goes, "Oh, tee-hee, maybe later." If you say yes, she runs behind the tree, pisses in it, comes back and goes, "Would you like to drink it?" Tee-hee. Oh, don't even. It's just it's juvenile is too good a word to fucking describe it. Yeah, it's 240 Microsoft points. I don't know what happens later on.
Yeah,
I don't fucking care. Island Adventure 3. Fascinating.
Yeah, mate, that sounds like arrest material.
Yeah, it's bad shit.
Yeah, I'm going near that. Right, my number 9 is the game that you played last week and has been badgering me to the point where you downloaded it onto my 3DS.
Yep.
I would have forgotten otherwise, so that was the right move. I think we called that actually last week. But anyway, it's Project X Zone, the turn-based strategy Capcom, Sega, Namco thing. Unfortunately, I couldn't play the whole demo because I put it on the bus on the way into town just now, and it was so sunny that within sort of 5 or 8 minutes of playing it, I started to feel queasy. So yeah, I had to turn it off, unfortunately. But it seemed fucking awesome. I was really enjoying what I was playing. You described it perfectly last week. I can't really add anything more to what you said. Turn-based, people like Ryu and Ken, a bunch of characters I didn't quite recognise, but I assume they're from something. And the fights are... where you described it, I thought it was going to be an actual, like a 2D beat 'em up, but it's a weird combat system, isn't it? It's something where you hit buttons to activate moves, but you can't move the characters, can you?
No. I mean, they attack by default, but you have these specials that you can sort of put use at the right to use at the right time.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention last week, one of the best things about it is that you earn XP the whole time. And normally in games like that, when an enemy comes up to your square and it's their turn and they attack, you just have to sit back and watch them attack you and you get hammered. In this, you can spend XP to either put up a half guard or a full guard for different amounts of XP, or you can retaliate straight away, which is just brilliant because that's the most annoying thing in the world, having to just... If you've got a guy, your most valuable guy is close to death, here you can spend XP and keep him alive, which is just superb. If you have a 3DS, I heartily... Are you going to play the rest of it?
Yeah, definitely, but I wanted to, but it was like I'm sitting in a fucking heat tube, so I had to turn it off. But I'll probably stick it on after this and get through the rest of it. It seemed cool, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, if it's anywhere near as good, the finished game, as the demo is, wow, can't wait.
Yeah, weird name though, terrible name.
I don't mind it. It's kind of the kind of thing you'd expect it to be called. Really.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Okay, right. My number 8 is a game called 4 Scenes, 1 Movie on iOS. It's been appearing in the upper echelons of the top 10 for the last few weeks. Didn't you say you played this, or am I imagining that?
Maybe.
It's very, very cheaply made. It's just it's another game where it's called 4 Scenes, 1 Movie on the App Store, and then when you click it, it's called something else. It's called just Guess the Movie.
Oh.
There was one that I downloaded that I spoke about where I downloaded it. It was called Guess the Movie, and then it was called Movie Quiz or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so cheap. There's 4 panels. They're all from the same film. You guess the movie. That's it. It starts out. It's Titanic. It's Forrest Gump. It's films that everybody knows. You only get 2 points for getting one right, but if you want to buy a clue, it costs 60 points.
Damn.
But basically, I played it. Hundreds of clues, so there is content. But as it went on, they got more and more obscure. To the point where they were putting up films that I don't think even were theatrically released over here.
Right.
And then, so every time you want to guess one, you can play 60 points. The long and short of it is that you can get to a point, as I did, where you can't progress. You have no points. You can't get the question right. So you either buy or you don't play anymore.
Can you in-app to get points?
Yes, that's it. Yeah, so they want you to buy points. But whether they've done this by mistake or not, I don't know. But basically, whenever you type a letter in, it's red if it's wrong and it's green if it's correct. So you can just sit there and guess the title if you want, which is what I did. So, yeah, you can basically play it without paying anything if you just want to pay... I think a fuckload of people are playing it because I kept going to Google. If you'd see the face of an actor, you type in 4 Scenes, 1 Movie, and then the actor's name, and it was always the first hit to come up.
Really?
Yeah, it's fucking ho-hum. I think I got to the end of it though. I got to a 4 panels, and it was like a martial arts movie. It looked like a Hero or House of Flying Daggers, something like that. And I just used the cheat where I tapped in until I got all the right letters. And it was Holy Motors, that weird Canadian film. And I was like, they're blatantly not that. And then it looped round and it went back to the same clue, and then nothing works. So I think it just basically crashes once you got to the end. Why am I still talking about this? 4 scenes, 1 movie. Not worth the fucking hassle.
All right. I won't play it. My number 8 is also an iPhone game, one I talked about before. I'll rush through it quickly because we've got some great stuff later in the list. It's that Stickits game, the puzzler with the different colours, the blocks of different colours. It's just a real chilled out game that I've been playing to kill time here and there, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's probably one that I'll keep on the phone for a while. I'd recommend it, but it is £1.99. So if you want a better explanation of what it is, go and read Christian Donlan's review on Eurogamer. Don't listen to my house. I'm a fucking idiot. He's way better than me at everything. So go and read that and then see why it's a good game. And it is a good game. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Bye.
I listened to Joypod today, and they were talking. I think they're going to play it in 2 weeks' time. But they thought it was 69p. Is it definitely £2?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless they've reduced the price, but I certainly bought it for that.
All right, okay. All right, well, I'll take your word for it then. Okay, my number 7 is the aforementioned Slave of God. I don't know why I listened to you when you said it's like the scene from... Have you ever seen a Gaspar Noé film?
If you go back, it's say what I said. I haven't seen that film, but it is what I've heard that film is like.
All right, okay.
So I got myself out of that one.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll let you off then. But I don't think I could describe it adequately. I will say, if you have a PC or even a Mac, I played it on a Mac. Just download it. It's about 20 meg. Slave of God. Yeah, I can't really add anything to what you said. It's incredibly oppressive visually. It's supposed to make you feel... I mean, it's nauseating, really. The music's unpleasant, and there's just... You're in a nightclub. Did you get to that part behind the bar where you can sort of back and keep walking until it shrinks down?
No.
It's really weird in a kind of strangely brilliant way. Did you get drinks from the barman and start dishing them out to people?
No, I got to the point where I was dancing on the dance floor with the person, and it started like our heads started connecting together, and a heart came out, and I was just like, my brain, I'm going to have to go to hospital and turn this off.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, clearly, it's supposed to be a drug experience, I guess. I really liked it. I liked the fact that it was. I've kind of become obsessed with the guy that made it. Have you, Stephen Lavelle? Had you heard of him before?
No.
Neither had I. He's freakishly prolific. If you look at his Wikipedia page, he's done he's just a one-man band. He's also worked with I've forgotten his name. Really prominent indie developer. I can't believe I've forgotten his name. Anyway, he's done the most obscene number of games, and I'm gonna, in addition to doing the Xbox Live indie games every week, I'm gonna look at one of his things because he reminds me of Chris Cunningham, the way he's kind of obsessed with surfaces, and he's the most brilliant curmudgeon. If you look at under the, when you go to the site to download Slave of God, there's loads of user comments and he's interacting with people. He's the most grumpy bastard, and it really made me laugh a couple of times. Some guy was just the most. He wrote this love letter about the game, just so kind and so gushing, and then at the end he said, if you have time, do you think you could please fix it so that you can invert the controls so I can play it that way? And his response was, thanks, no. And I said, it's just genuinely, just permanently grumpy. But I've also read an interview with him on Gamma Sutra, I think, where he just talks about how he doesn't like the fact that he has to have end game. He doesn't want there to be a goal as such. They're art games in the purest sense. And I don't know whether I got to the end of Slave of God. And if you look under the comments, again, there's loads of people saying, I don't know whether I got to the end. I don't know whether that was the kill screen. I don't know what you're supposed to achieve. And that's part of the appeal, I suppose. So if you're happy with a game that is supposed to do your head in, I mean, I enjoyed it, and enjoy is the wrong word. I liked it. But as soon as I pressed escape, I was like, thank God. Because it's so intense. But yeah, Stephen Lavelle, interesting guy. And I'm going to download some more of his stuff. And Slave of God, worth looking at. It's just to have done it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, not everybody is as prone to headaches as me, so get on it. I can't believe I said that. What an idiot. My number 7 is Metro 2033. I'm crawling through this game. Wow, that works because it's in tunnels. Very good, still very good. Didn't have enough time to play much of it this week. Very good. I want to rush through to the good games that we'll talk about later.
Oh fuck! Okay, all right. My number 6 is Black Knight Sword.
Any better?
No, it's not any better. I've done something that I haven't done in a game. Have you just fallen off your chair?
No, I tried to block a cough, and it made the weirdest noise.
Yeah, fucking hate it.
Let me just cough normally.
Jesus,
that was bizarre.
Yeah, you're telling me. I've done something I haven't done in years. In fact, I mean, yeah, it's definitely years. It may have been ever, but I've started the game again and gone back to do it on easy because I'm not doing it on normal.
You can't switch?
No, that's because, hey, it's a hard game, and hard games do stuff like that. There's something so aggravating about games where the difficulty has to be part of the game's DNA. Otherwise, it's just so off-putting. I mean, the example I always use is Call of Duty. The hardest difficulty setting, more bullets to kill the bad guys, less bullets to kill you. Genius. No, it's bollocks. I don't know why anyone would put themselves through the inorganic torture of fucking playing a shooter like that. But this is exactly the same. It's a hard game in inverted commas, and it just wound me up. I was like, why am I... The way you can't save your progress mid-level, there's only so many lives. As soon as you lose all your lives, that's it. You have to go back to the beginning of the level. Some of the levels are quite long. You only have 3 lives unless you buy more. It's just tedious. It's difficulty, and it pissed me off anyway. So I've had to go all the way back to the beginning and play it on easy. It's a luscious looking but thoroughly empty video game. I don't think I'll, unless it does something incredible in the final third, which I know it won't. It's just an autopilot load of pap. I'm so disappointed. Truly disappointing. Someone brought up on Twitter, I didn't really understand what they meant, but they were noting the comparison between those interludes in Shadows of the Damned and this. That was a shooter. It looked the same. The art style was very, very similar, but it was a completely different in terms of gameplay. This is just a rip-off of a million other things, and it's boring. Man, Black Knight Sword. It
just reminds me of the Amiga games that I used to play a lot when I was 8 or 9.
Yeah, it's old. It's
nowhere near as good as the good ones.
Yeah, it's just old. I mean, nothing. There's nothing fresh about it. It's
no Shadow of the Beast 2, mate. I'll tell you that much.
Can't say I played that.
That's a gleam.
All right.
No charge on that particular one. Right. Number 6. You done? Sorry, I've just.
It's Black Knight shit.
Black Knight shit. Number 6 for me, I think this was supposed to be number 5 in our pre-agreement, but I've messed up my list, is Pro Evo / Street Fighter. Chet came to visit Casa del John this weekend, and we played a lot of Pro Evo and Street Fighter, but we pre-agreed to stick them in the middle of the list and to bundle them together. But, Pro Evo is fucking brilliant. I hadn't played it that much recently, and I certainly hadn't played it in offline multiplayer. Although we didn't really do that. Actually, no, we played online, didn't we? And did the old switcheroo.
You got to do the old switcheroo. It's the only way to play it. Yeah.
If you don't know what the old switcheroo is, it is playing online. One person plays the first half, then at half time you pass the pad on to your friend, and the different play styles always confuse the opponent to the point where it just messes with them, and it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's fun to cheer on your mate as well, or like berate him when he fucks up. I still really, really rate Pez. Yeah. And we had great fun. Scored some fucking amazing goals. The drama was there. The whole room was like getting into the matches. And then Street Fighter was really good. I kind of burnt out after playing. Each session we played, it was probably about an hour, wasn't it?
A
bit longer, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a bit longer than that when you think about it.
Probably was, but it wasn't. I knew I couldn't play it like the old days. I couldn't do 6 hours in front of it anymore. But it was really fun. It's one of the best games ever.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't burnt out at all, and I could have kept on playing it.
Could you? I think I was just tired or something.
Yeah. It made me think, though, has there ever been a sequel that's been released under that much scrutiny, that much pressure, and that much expectation that's come out and smashed it as much as that has? I can't even think of an example.
No, I don't. Not that much scrutiny, no.
Because Street Fighter 2, I kind of missed the boat on Street Fighter 3, but 2 was just basically perfect, and I didn't think they could make something on a current generation that. Street Fighter 4 is about as damn near close to perfect as a fighting game can get. Super, I should say. Although fucking T-Hawk, where did that come from?
I know. Our buddy Zeno just picked up T-Hawk and started ruining everybody with him. Because he takes he hits you once and you just fucking lose a third of your energy, and he's got 4 moves and he's shit. Yeah. And why does he hold his hands like that? It's shit house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what burnt me out. Fucking T-Hawk. He even smashed up Guile. Yeah. I love Guile.
I don't like Guile. He is not my boy. But yeah, a masterpiece. And Pro Evo, the old switcheroo, you can't beat it.
You can't. And they announced a new one's not going to be on next gen. They're just concentrating on current gen.
That's probably a good thing.
I think so. I think that's probably the right move. I think they finally sorted it out for 13. And I was worried that they were going to then chuck it all in the bin for 14. But no, I reckon 14 is going to be fucking gloom.
Yeah, well, here's hoping.
They'll do it properly. It seems like they've certainly got the right strategy for doing it properly on next gen. They're not rushing it, so we shall see. It'll still sell 1 millionth of what FIFA does, but that's all fine. That's the world.
FIFA will probably be good as well.
I'm hearing the previews came out today. Day of recording is Thursday, and people are saying it's good. Pro Evo guys as well, guys. Like Steve on Video Gamer, I know he's a big Pro Evo guy, so he's saying FIFA 14 is good from what he's played. So yeah, I'm pumped for both, really, always.
Always. So that was your number 6?
Yeah, it was supposed to be my 5, wasn't it?
My number 5 is the same as that Pro Evo Street Fighter. So there you go.
Yeah, all right. Let's jump on to the next one then. Okay, my number 5. I'm predicting this is higher up in your list. In fact, I almost know for sure that it is. Is Remember Me.
Yeah.
I had some time last night, so I decided to stick it on, and I really liked the opening 10 minutes, I'd say. It was I like the atmosphere. It fucking looked really good. I was actually taken aback by how good it looks. That Capcom engine, the MT framework, whatever it's called, is amazing, really. It looks like a step up from a lot of stuff on current gen, especially the lighting and the motion blur. I like the kind of like ham-fisted sci-fi story. This is cool. I was getting into it, and then when the game started properly and the combat started, I was just like, I'm not feeling this at all. And the more I played, I got to the point where you start changing the first memory, and it seemed like trial and error bullshit. And I sent you a text. It's like, does this get better or not? And I didn't hear back from you straight away. And it's like, I'm gonna pull the plug. I'm just gonna pull the plug because I haven't got that much time. The review scores haven't been that good, and I'm not feeling it at all. And I just didn't really dig it. I guess we'll talk a bit more about it later.
Are you not going to play it anymore?
I don't think so. I've got such limited time to play anything, and I just back a few years ago when I had a bit more free time, I think I would have stuck with it a bit longer, but I just made a judgment call. The voice acting's so shit. I changed it to French, but that sounded like it had just been recorded in one room on one person's iPhone, so I switched it back to English, and yeah, the combat killed it for me, but you'll be able to talk about it in much more detail and much better in a bit, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's weird. Everything you said there is unusual. But yeah, I'll talk about it in a sec.
All right.
Okay, my number 4 is an iOS game I spoke about last week. It's Bridgy Jones.
You went back to that?
Oh yeah, no, I'm still going to go back to it again. So I don't have a whole lot to add because I haven't played it anywhere near as much as I wanted to. It's actually out tomorrow. So if you're listening to this podcast on the Friday, the 7th tomorrow?
Yes, it is.
7th of June. It's out that day. It's 69p. I've played a third, maybe a half of the entire thing, and it's already worth 69p. It's a fantastic I'm basically, it's the first iOS game in a long time that I've just completely 100% been madly in love with. As I've explained, you have to get this. It's very simple. It's that you get a train from A to B, and you have to build a stable bridge to get them across. While you're controlling something I didn't mention is that while you're controlling the train, you have to actually be careful that you don't lose the cargo as well. So that if you want to, it's an incredibly sophisticated and actually complicated game, but it's simple. Get him from A to B, and it's so strange in that you can stop and chew it over. There's no time. Well, there is a time limit if you're going for the 3-star bullshit, but you can just sort of chew it over and try different things and whatnot. But it has the immediacy of an action game. It is very much like World of Goo in that respect. You do feel that there's pressure and sort of it's just. I've punched the air several times while I've been playing it because it's just fucking quality. 69p, it's brilliant. It's getting loads of 9 out of 10s in magazines and stuff, and it's totally deserved. It's the flip side. It seems this might just be on the surface. It seems like Chilingo are making half of their games free with aggressive microtransactions, and the other half with almost. I mean, you can buy levels to unlock later ones if you really want to, but you're not obliged to do so. It's slick looking. The physics are impeccable. I mean, it's a fantastic little game. Bridgy Jones, just download it, 69p on your iPhone. Laughing. I'm going to be playing it until I finish it, certainly.
Yeah, that sounds good. I might well get it. It's out today, is it?
In
Pretend Land. Yeah.
yeah. It's wicked. Absolutely wicked.
Bridgy Jones. Right, my number 4 is the game that I decided to put on after pulling the plug on Remember Me, and I'm very, very glad that I did. It is Catherine, which I had on. It was on the PS Plus. It was one of the things I downloaded, and I was like, I don't want to play Hitman. I just wasn't in the mood for any more dirgy shit. So I scrolled down the thing and I was like, oh yeah, I've got this. Almost immediately fell in love with it. Really good story stuff. Really well written, I thought. You talked about this ages ago and sort of talked it up. And from what I've played, which is probably about 90 minutes, I'm basically in complete agreement with everything that you said. I was really pleased to see it was Troy Baker doing the voice of the main guy in it, who's Booker DeWitt and Joel from The Last of Us, who we'll talk about later, and plenty of other things. He's a brilliant voice actor. I think he's the best around at the moment, in my opinion. And yeah, his performance is really good and kind of convincing. And the whole thing, there's just really stylistically complete and coherent, from everything from the fonts to the music to the dialogue to everything about it. It's like it's really out there but really coherent. And the puzzle stuff, I wasn't too keen on it at first, but then I was actually starting to really get into it. I just did the level where you're first chased by the giant hands with a fork. For the first time, and it was just really good, really weird, but not in that kind of pseudo weird way. And I like the pseudo weird way as well. That's just kind of too out there sometimes. Everything felt, I really like it. It's just when games come out and do stuff like that, it makes me really happy to be involved with games.
It gets a hell of a lot weirder after the opening bit. But it's just brilliant. I mean, if you if you genuinely have problems with the puzzles, and some people just couldn't get their head around it, then just put it down so easy.
I'm playing on easy.
Oh, you are? Okay. Well,
I heard that it was too hard on normal.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's too fucking hard on hard. I know that. But it wasn't. I didn't find it too bad on normal. But
it's pretty hard on easy. Definitely quite hard.
Oh, okay. Okay. Fair enough. But stick with it because it's such a great game from beginning to end.
I was loving it, mate. I'm so glad that I switched off Remember Me to put this on. This is just different class.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely loving it. Yeah.
Good. Well, don't abandon it because I'll tell you what, it gets better and weirder as it goes on.
I don't doubt that. Yeah,
it doesn't get better because it's weirder. It's superb. Every time I think about the game, I'm just like I should play it again because it's unreal clean.
It reminded me in a weird way, even though it doesn't play or is anything like it, of Shadows of the Damned, and I guess because it's some of it's kind of similar. You're kind of in a hellish sort of place sometimes, and I don't know, it's just something about it. I think it was the fact that game is also so stylistically coherent and complete, and everything fits together in one package so nicely. And I just thought, wicked. It's the coolest thing I've played in ages.
Good. Yeah, no, it really is. I can't remember where it was in my top 5 but of like last year, but it's a damn good game. Okay, my number 3 is The Last of Us on the PlayStation 3. I'll leave it for a bit because I assume it's higher.
Yeah, it is indeed higher on my list. How far have you got though?
I've done the opening 3 to 4 hours, I think.
Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah, well, it's my number 1, so I'll talk in depth about it in a bit.
All
Sweet. My number 3 is Gunpoint, a game I talked about last week, and I finished today. I'm writing a review for it, so I had to go through it. The game itself is about, I think you can do the whole thing in about 3 hours. It's really lean. It's clear that the guy Tom Francis, who's journo, has played 1 billion games, as we all have, understands that you don't want anything that's faffing about anything overly long. It's £6. It's 3 hours long, and the 3 hours that it exists is just basically there's no fat, which is great. It is a game where you play as a special spy, Richard Conway, or the freelance spy or something. He's a guy that has magic trousers that means he can jump really high and fall from great heights and not get hurt. But the real hook of the game, as I talked about last week, is this thing called the crosslink, where you roll the mouse wheel and the whole level switches and you can see the wires between different devices in the building. So it's a 2D game. You get a sort of a plan view from the side. No, plan view, that doesn't make sense. Like a cut down view of a building. You can see all the rooms. You can see what's happening in the rooms, like an ant farm. Then when you roll the mouse button, you can see all the wires. So you can see like a light switch which is connected to a light, and then you can decide to connect that to a door that you need to get through, for example, or connect a switch that happens to be near you to the light where a guard is, so you can switch that light off, and he gets confused and tries to hit the light switch. The whole game is about stuff like that. It sounds confusing, it isn't, and it's just a really smart, also a very smartly written, fun, clever game that I would recommend to everyone. I think it's a really excellent game. There's very little to fault. I mean, it could do with being a little longer, probably, if it wanted to reach classic status, and then it ends reasonably abruptly, but really clever mechanics, stuff that I have never seen done anywhere else. Encourages experimentation. There's not just one solution to the game. It's a combination of stealth and puzzling, but it allows you to attempt the levels in all sorts of different ways. There's great stuff in between the levels where you have text message conversations with the people that are giving you missions, and because Tom's a great writer, they're really snappy, funny, kind of reminiscent of 90s point and click LucasArts stuff. Is definitely inspired by that, but with a modern twist as well. Nothing too verbose, just sharp, snappy, really snappy game, really good music, very stylish, very clever, highly recommended, really good.
I've been reading it's suddenly kind of blown up online anyway.
I think the fact that he is a high-profile journo on such a popular magazine as well, PC Gamer, which has such a hardcore following, that's helped. And he's been blogging about its creation basically the whole 3 years he's been working on it. If you actually go on the Gunpoint game Twitter, I think it has like 10,000 followers just for the game, and regularly for an indie game they'll maybe have like 1,000 followers for almost any indie game. So the fact that it's got such a huge following is sort of testament to the work he's been doing and his own personal audience. But and the fact that it went straight on Steam and stuff like that is kind of unusual, but it's fucking cool, and it's a great game.
How much did you say it was? £6?
Yeah, it's like £6.20 or something like that. It's like I said, it is short. I've done it in a morning basically, but I don't regret the £6 I shelled out for it at all. It was great fun, really clever, thought-provoking, made me feel like a badass loads of times, made me feel like the smartest guy in the world loads of times. Great stuff. People get it. If you've got PC, it's only on PC at the moment, unfortunately, but just get involved. And there's a demo on Steam, which is free, that is a sizable demo, so definitely get that.
Yeah, cool. It's another game that makes me realise I need to get a PC.
I think it will probably appear on a Mac, or I wouldn't even be surprised if it appeared on PlayStation Vita at some point. Not that you got one of those, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're
it
saying.
wouldn't surprise me if it appeared on Mac. There's no reason why it couldn't.
Okay. Cool. Okay. All right. My number 2 is Fuse on the Xbox 360. Fuse. It's, if you don't, well, everyone should know what it is. It's a massive, big behemoth action game from Insomniac. I played the demo a few weeks ago and thought it was really promising. It's got a little bit of a kicking. It's not got particularly good reviews. I can understand why, but once again, I think it's much better than a lot of people are giving it the credit for. One thing I will say about it is that it's not unplayable on your own, but it's one of those games that's so tailored for people at once that it is an uphill struggle, and it's quite difficult to enjoy it if you don't take stuff in. it owes more of a debt to Gears than most games of its type, which is they all kind of do. But there's a Hammer of Dawn weapon. There's tickers. The revive animation similar. It's basically in a Gears mold and doesn't seem very interested in breaking out of that mold. Like Army of Two: The Devil's Cartel, another EA published action game. For some reason, they've put basically the controls on a 360 are exactly the same as Gears of War, except if you want to go into cover, you have to press B. If you want to run or vault over cover, it's still A. And I'll tell you what, it just doesn't make any sense. It's the most mystifying decision they could have made, because
that's too confusing.
You get used to it, but you just think, why? It's not intuitive. It's stupid. It's like they just did it to sort of have a bit of a point of difference. The AI is not great. Well, basically, almost all of the bosses are just bullet sponges. There are a couple of weird, almost Capcom-esque giant sort of colossi boss battles which are unexpected. Basically, the reason why it's so good. Well, here's one of the reasons why it's so good. Basically, if you get attacked by an enemy, just a normal enemy who's, let's say you're on the ground and some guy's shooting you on a balcony. If you lay a few rounds into him, he will not leave you alone. The difficulty tier, even on normal, is really quite difficult. Right. So I often found myself pinned against cover, and I just remember feeling, if I had 3 friends, I'd be like, guys, this fucking guy won't leave me alone, because in most shooters, as soon as you pop your head behind cover, they go and shoot at someone else. Yeah. But you end up feeling like there's a vendetta against you if you've started shooting somebody before they've got you. It's a lot more intense than a lot of games like it. The AI of your teammates is pretty shocking. There's bits where you have to get revived, and you'll see one of your teammates doing donuts staring at the ceiling. I mean, but again, you're supposed to play it with 4 people. There's bosses that like pick you up and fuck with you, and everyone else will be alerted to it, so they need to run in and shoot the boss, so he'll drop you. But the amount of times that happened to me, and my AI compadres were just literally doing nothing. It's scrappy visually, and it's really low res. It kind of looks like an upscale game from a previous generation or something like that. Right. It's not a nice looking game, and all of the environments. It's the most. What's that game you always talk about? Jet Brody.
Oh, Fracture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on a par with that. Genuinely, every environment is just. It looks like all of the James Bond villains' lairs smushed together, all underground, all computers everywhere. I mean, it's just so generic. There's a bit where you land on a tropical island, and oh wow, finally a change of scenery. Straight underground into a fucking underground lair with made me fucking mental. Really, I was like, why are you doing this? It's just corridors and fans that you have to walk through, and bloody computers is rubbish. There's really neat bits where you're clearly supposed to synchronise stealth kills. There's a horde mode, which I mean, it's in every third-person action game since Gears of War. I mean, it's just a requirement now. Most of the time, those modes are really awful, but because again, it's tiered towards 4 people, it's so much better than most of the competition. There are some neat new systems in it. The only one that really struck me was when you get downed, a timer goes down, and if it goes down to 0, you die. So one of your teammates has to revive you before then. But the longer you let it go down, the longer it takes you to revive. So there were situations where all 3 of my teammates went down, and I knew that the longer I left certain ones, the longer I'd have to stand there. And if there was loads of enemies there, I'd make sure I got there first, sort of thing. So you're always there's just systems that are implemented to sort of imbue it with a lot more strategy than games of its type normally have. It is what it looks like, but it's better than that at the same time.
There's no force on earth that could make me play that game, I don't think.
I think if we played it with 2 other people, I don't think any of us would not like it. I mean, it's monotonous visually and stuff, but I'm enjoying it, I have to say.
I don't doubt you for a second, but everything about it just like makes me feel like I'm going to fall asleep.
Yeah, but the thing is, the intensity of it. If there was 4 of us, that's why it's so brilliant. Like I said, it sounds like a small detail. The thing about as soon as you shoot a guy, he doesn't leave you alone, but you end up. I felt like saying, "Guys, fucking help me out! There's this guy who won't leave me out." And with 4 of you in there, all of you, it's better than the 5 out of 10s it's been getting. Not a whole lot, because my God, it doesn't half look ugly, and it's brain frazzling how they don't want to give you anything to look at besides a fucking grey room with a lot of boxes in it. But it's better than some people are saying that is. I'm just annoyed that I'm playing it on fucking one player, because I know for a fact it'll be twice the game with 4 other people.
Number 37, didn't it debut in the UK charts? That's a bomb of all bombs.
They didn't advertise it though, did they?
There was a few banner ads, but yeah, no, it was sent out to die. Yeah, most certainly, and that it's done already.
Well,
but
bit of a shame. 10, 20 quid, 4 of you, have a laugh.
Well, there's something about it. There's something about it. I think it's because of that Ted Price incident many years ago. I can't get over it. I just need to brush it away. I need to get over it. Yeah, I don't want to play Fuse ever. My number 2 is State of Decay. Do you know State of Decay?
I've got it. I haven't played it yet.
Okay. So State of Decay came out yesterday from the day of recording, and I was asked to review it for video game. I'm in the process of doing that right now. This was the game that I played, basically the game that I played in this ilk straight after The Last of Us, which I'll obviously talk about in a minute. And it doesn't start particularly favourably. You start as a bloke called Marcus. It just drops you in to the point where I thought that the game is almost broken, because it drops you in. The frame rate is fucking unbelievably shit. The voices start talking before the graphics load, and I thought the game had bugged out or something. Anyway, you're hitting zombies. It's fairly basic. The graphics are terrible. The frame rate is terrible, and I was thinking, oh god, this is not for me. But I'd heard a couple of reviews had come out already, and that it was good, and so obviously I had to stick with it. And it starts to open up a little bit, and then you move with the guy that you're with into a building, and you can see that I can barricade windows and all this stuff. But still, at this point, I was like, I don't think this is going to be very good. This is going to be a bit of an arduous task. Fast forward, how long have I played it? Probably 5 hours. And I put it out on Twitter. I think this game, in many ways, is a masterpiece. It's the game. What I actually wrote on Twitter is that State of Decay will be some people's favourite game ever. This is a game that people have been asking for years. It just happens to be a fucking janky-ass, sketchy version of that game. But, damn, it's so ambitious. If most zombie games, are either scripted, linear experiences, or even open-world ones are kind of more directed. Something like, what's it called? The fucking Capcom one. What's it called?
What,
the Capcom one in the mall? I've forgotten what it's called.
Dead Rising.
Yeah, Dead Rising. This, however, is a completely systemic zombie survival game where you have a character and he can be leveled up in RPG style. You meet other people, you find other survivors in emergent situations across this big open world. Then that you can bring them back to a homestead that you make, and you can make different ones and move them and things. And then you can start to build relationships with these people by going out saving them in situations, going out on missions with them. When you build up their trust to the point where you're a friend with them, you can actually switch to be that character. So you can start to switch between lots of different characters and go out on missions and level that character up and whatnot. If one of those characters goes down in a fight with zombies, that's it, they're done. Permadeath. So you can be in a situation where, you've had a guy that you've leveled up for 4 hours, something goes wrong, a zombie bursts through the window when you're, in a situation in the house, you've just gone out to get some supplies, it's all gone wrong, someone's made some noise, zombie comes through the window, he's dead, that's it, that guy's gone. So it has all this emergent storytelling within its sketchy but really compelling framework. And then the more I started to understand, because it's completely overwhelming at first, it's it keeps giving you all this information, and it's a very complicated game, and I was just I can't fucking understand any of this shit. But you don't have to know everything that's going on in a game. You can kind of follow the thread of the tutorial and then the first few story missions, because there's a story as well, and then the rest of the stuff starts to make sense. And I'm at the point where I'm starting to build new a new medical area in my homestead, a new tools, like workbench type area, so the people there can start making their own supplies, so I don't have to go on so many supply runs, and you start to build this community, and it's just a really fucking amazing game in terms of its ambition. And it's also got a good atmosphere, really good music, and the more you play it, the more you forgive the technical shittery, and it's pretty bad. But it just seemed to just stop noticing it after a while, just because I was kind of really captivated by what was happening.
I'm still absolutely none the wiser about what it is. For some reason, I thought it was like several people online co-op or something.
No, it's just single player, open world zombie survival game with focusing on melee combat. It's basically the Walking Dead simulator. If you chucked a couple more million, polish this shit up, put the Walking Dead license on it, you could actually call it the Walking Dead Survival Instinct and pretend that game didn't exist, not that I've ever played it, and it would be a brilliant Walking Dead simulator that you wouldn't even have to, the Walking Dead Telltale game is its own thing, which is brilliant. This would be like the simulator action game version that, while there is a story, all the action, like in the great emergent games, is happening purely through the game systems, which layer on top of each other and on top of each other. And apparently later on, if your morale drops in your camp, then people start falling out, and they could and then someone might get bitten. You don't know, classic zombie stuff, but it's not happening scripted. It's emergent stuff. Like, your friend can turn and attack another friend that you don't know. It's really fucking good, really good.
Shit.
It's sketchy as fuck and confusing as hell for the first 2 hours. And I tell you what, if I wasn't reviewing it, I would have given up. There's no two ways. I would have definitely given up. If, say, I'd done the trial, which I believe is a generous trial at the beginning, I'd have gone, I don't understand this, and the frame rate shit, I'm not going to play this is rubbish. But I'm very, very glad that I did stick with it. And it doesn't hold your hand. It could do a lot better job of explaining what the hell's going on, a lot better. But I'm starting to wrap my head around it now.
Okay, I don't know what gave me the impression this was some kind of... I think it's probably because it was mentioned in the same sentence as DayZ.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I haven't played DayZ, but DayZ, as far as I'm aware, not only is it online, but the focus and the real danger in DayZ is the humans, as far as I'm aware, the other players. Whereas the only enemy in this game is the zombies. You don't have human enemies, and it's obviously not online. So I think gameplay-wise, it's a very different experience, but I think also in terms of its hardcore credentials, that's probably why they're quite similar, and it's an easy comparison. But it's actually, as far as I'm aware, I haven't played DayZ. It's pretty false.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know why I was given that impression, but I thought it was some kind of multiplayer, something along those lines. Well, I'll talk about it next week because I'm reviewing.
I will reiterate though, if you've been sitting there since a young age, and I say this because I know my bro fucking loves stuff like this, so I know there must be plenty of other people out there like that, and you've been thinking, wouldn't it be cool if there was a zombie game where you had to go and get a group of people and then rush out and try and find supplies in abandoned buildings, you never know what's going to happen, and someone could turn, all this sort of stuff. If you have been that person that's sitting there thinking this is a fucking 12-year-old or something, this game is that. It's sketchy, but this is what they've done. Undead Labs, they're fucking ambitious. Ambitious as all hell.
Who's Undead Labs?
They are the people that have made this game. I don't know if they've done anything else. I don't know. Maybe they have. I think it seems like they've been working on this for a long time. It's 1,600 points, which is quite expensive, but it seems like it's probably a steal.
Wow, okay. I'll talk about it next week.
Yeah. I'd be interested to hear what you think, because, it's hard to get over the sketchiness.
Okay, Genuine. All right, okay, well, my number one is Remember Me on the PS3. Also available on the Xbox 360. It's been a couple of weeks since I played it, but it's the most tantalising... Is tantalising the right word? I had to score it, and when I say I lost sleep, I don't mean I was tossing and turning, going, oh, God, I don't know. But I genuinely was mulling it over to myself because I didn't know what to give it. It's... partially because so much of it is absolutely brilliant, and a lot of the problem I think is because they've had to deliver a game that's more than this. It has no business being the length that it is. The funny thing about games like this is that if the development time was cut or the budget was cut and they had to improvise, I think we probably would have seen a better game. what are we calling that kind of climbing? That's everyone cites Uncharted, but if you really want to cite the granddaddy, it's probably Sands of Time. What are you calling that? It's even in Fuse. There's bits in Fuse where that happens. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. It's in every big budget action game these days. What are we calling it?
Just I don't know. Just fucking climbing. Yeah, dull climbing.
It's in every game. Yeah, there's a lot. Basically, Remember Me is 3 games. It's the climbing game, it's the combat game, and it's the remix game. The climbing is dull, it's functional, it's fine. There's too much of it. A lot of it feels really unnecessary. Another awkward thing is that the camera's always really tight on you when you're climbing. And then as soon as you jump down and the camera pulls back, you know you're going to be involved in combat. And that happens every 10 to 15 minutes like clockwork. The combat is brilliant. And did you experiment much with the pressings?
The building your own combo.
Yeah.
It just made me want to play God Hand.
Okay, I can understand that, but no, it starts out really complicated, but it's genuinely simple. There's different kinds of moves that you build your own combos. Basically, some of the moves you do will give you extra health. Some of them will recharge other moves that you have, and you basically build them into different combos. So if you're dying, say for example, you can sort of use a combo that will build your health up as you fight. And it's all time. It's very, very basic. The timing is important, so you can't hit. You can't land another hit until the other one's done. So you have to. It's initially a little bit. Did you settle straight into it?
Yeah, I settled straight into it because it's a similar rhythm to Arkham, which I played them both to death, but I just wasn't feeling it. Just something about the way the camera was moving, something about the way the hits felt, the combo felt. I just wasn't feeling it. I was finding it a chore. I found it great. I mean, I thought it was a bit. There's bits of it are finer than Arkham City and Arkham Asylum because as soon as you do the dodge move, it's instantaneous. There are a lot of instances in those 2 games where you can press dodge and it takes a split second because the animation has to can. And this one, it just instantaneously drops you. I also like the way the music builds as you do these long. I like that.
It sort of builds to this sort of trance theme, and it's so satisfying when you nail like an 8-hit combo and that music builds. The music just in general is really good. It's kind of skittish industrial noise, and then there's like orchestral bits in the rest of the game. But I thought the combat was great. The only real one problem with it, which baffled me, is that if you are fighting someone and you do 4 hits of a combo and then you dodge, if you do those 4 hits of a combo on another enemy, it doesn't count. So there are so many bits where you get swarmed by multiple enemies and you can't go back to the guy you were fighting. So that's just baffling to me. I don't know why they did that. The remix sequences are absolutely breathtaking. I don't think they're masterpieces of gameplay because, like you said, there isn't a whole lot to do. It's trial and error, and there are only a handful of variables. But it's just the functionality is amazing. Did you not think?
I thought it was very clever, I guess, but
did you not just feel?
I just thought this is just trial and error bullshit. But I was kind of really put off by how pretentious the whole thing was. I give it extra leeway and pretension because it's French, and you just I think you give anything French a little bit of wiggle room on that stuff. But by this point, I was just like, I'm not feeling the dialogue. I'm not feeling anything about this game. And by that point, I don't know. I fucked it up a few times, and I was just like, "What do you want from me? This isn't fun. It's just, is this going to work or isn't it going to work? I'll try this. There seems to be no logic to it. It just seems to be guesswork."
Yeah, I mean, in a way it is, and that's why I don't think they're incredible examples of great gameplay. But I've never felt the fact that you can control that as faultlessly as you can. It took my breath away. I can't believe how it felt like something that I don't know if it looks and feels quite as slick on the Xbox as it does on the PlayStation.
I'm on PlayStation as well.
Yeah, I just thought it was absolutely superb. I mean, it felt like you were doing something from the future or from a future console generation. It just felt. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. But like I said, gameplay-wise, there's not a lot there. It's like they're showing off that they can do it, and I thought that was really, really appealing. But yeah, basically, for all that it does right, I think the combat's good, and I think those sequences are good. For all that it does really, really right, there are just bits where it loses its way. In the midsection, there's a bit where you get a move where it's basically a shooter for 5 minutes. Right. And you're like, why? And then they give you a move where, like a telekinesis power where you can open doors with it. You literally use it to open 5 doors, and then they don't use it again. It's like, why? There's a bit where there's loads of switch puzzles for 5-10 minutes. It's just like, it treads water in the middle. And you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this mundane bit of climbing when all this other cool stuff exists? It's like they didn't know what was good, and they were just trying to throw as many things at you as possible. And it's really just... I mean, the end is especially bad because... There's long corridors, long stretches of platforming, and then long battles, and then you'll walk out of a room and there'll be another battle, and then it treads water like nobody's business. And I constantly just thought, what about all the cool stuff? Why are you giving me all these situations that are just fucking boring when I could do all that other stuff? And it's inconsistent. There's boss battles where you can't really progress unless you experiment with the pressings and learn the combos and stuff, which is good because that it brings out the best in the game. And then there's a boss that like auto saves every couple of seconds, so you can't basically lose to it, which just completely blew my mind. There's obtuse puzzles, logic puzzles at the end that are so hard that they're basically, I thought one of them was impossible, but if you keep retrying them, it just gives you the solution anyway, so it's completely pointless. It also doesn't... The first time I did one of those remix sequences, I thought... I did it without thinking, because basically you do things that are set in stone in games all the time. Prince of Persia, you rewind and you're not dead, and you just do that and you think nothing of it. It's part of the game. But remember me remixing someone's memories... After I did the first one, a few minutes passed, and I was like, oh shit, that's going to be so cool. Basically, I'll do this without any spoilers. This is in the opening 20 minutes or so anyway. The first remix you do, basically your character has to get another character to think that something hasn't happened when it has. Oh, sorry, the other way around. You have to basically, but it involves someone's life. In order to make a scenario happen, you have to have this person think that someone's dead. I'm going to do a fucking terrible job. But basically, you have to make someone think that someone's dead when they're not, just to get out of a situation. And after that happened, I thought, wow, it's going to be so cool when that person gets home and this person that they thought was dead is actually alive. But they never deal with anything like that. It's all on the surface. And that was so disappointing because when you actually think about it, that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, it is.
And they don't deal with it at all. And that was another reason why it was so frustrating. As you said, it's an absolutely gorgeous looking game at points. Absolutely breathtaking sometimes. I mean, it completely belies the fact that it's on current generation hardware. It's one of the best looking games I've ever seen, I think. And yet it just doesn't know what it's doing. I think that their next game has every chance of being absolutely amazing. But the weird pot shots it takes in different directions and the way it drags its own length out. And there's absolutely fantastic boss battles that are very Capcom, which totally work. And they're some of the highlights of the whole game. They're brilliant as well. It's 60% absolutely brilliant, and then 40% why are you wasting my pissing time? It's such a frustrating game because I want to love it. I didn't have the thing about I never thought it was pretentious. I just thought it was just it just tried my after getting off to such a flying start. I thought the way it goes off the rails really pissed me off. I think it's still worth playing, and like a lot of games that I'd say I gave it 6 out of 10. A lot of games that get 6 out of 10s, as Dave said when he was last on the podcast, a lot of those games turn out to be someo's favourite game. And I think this is going to be something that a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people really love. And I think it's worth playing just for the remix sequences and the combat. But what the hell do I know?
Yeah, maybe I'll try it again.
To be honest, if you're on the way you've reacted to it so far, I don't think you'll respond very well to the rest of it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, I think I'll stick with... You made it... You do a good job of selling it and making it sound cool. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can get over it. It wasn't... I think I was a bit unfair saying it was the pretentiousness that put me off. It wasn't really. It was just... There was, like, quite often, even in the short time that I played it, you come round a corner or come up a ladder or something, and then the score would swell and it would show you like the horizon. It's like, okay, you've done this like 4 times already. I know you've made a nice thing, but come on.
I know what
all I've done is climb over a thing.
Yeah, no, it did do that quite a bit. It's the thing about it is in a way it's very similar to Fuse. Do I feel comfortable recommending Remember Me? Absolutely. Do I feel comfortable recommending it for £40? That's more difficult. That's why I hope consoles embrace this PC-like pricing structure, because then you can. There's £40 is a lot of money to play on something that I think a lot of people would find fascinating and enjoyable, but there's too much that's wrong with it, and there's too much that's frustrating about it for it to be like, go out and go and get it.
Yeah,
for a big budget action game, it's far more interesting than most.
Yeah, it definitely seemed interesting, definitely. But yeah, I wanted to like it, and I really like that beginning, man. When you get chased by the robot, I'm scared of big robots since watching fucking RoboCop too young, at 209. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't feel it.
One other thing, briefly, is that I thought the beginning was brilliantly done. This is not a spoiler. The game opens with you being led down this in this queue to get lobotomized, because what the government does is that they lobotomize people. Yeah, and then what happens is they drop them under the city into the slums, and you encounter them, and it's kind of nauseating. It's really unpleasant the way they're kind of these sort of just broken people, and it's just a bit uneasy. As the game gets on, those people, their limbs start to elongate and they get long fingers, and they have, for no reason. It's like the design changes as the game goes on, and after a while you're just like, I'm fighting zombies now. Everything that was kind of unpleasant about the beginning has kind of just been led down a path of just, it seems like they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I had that bit in French as well, so I decided to switch out at that point, and it was actually quite effective in French, because it just reminded me of a French movie. It's like a cool, weird French movie that you'd find. But yeah, after that, it just started. The dialogue's recorded so badly that you had to switch back to English. There's no echo. There's no like any treatment on it whatsoever. It just sounds like you and I now. It's rubbish.
Shame.
But yeah, damn. Remember Me. I want to like it a bit, but I don't really.
I like it enough to recommend. More than enough to recommend. Some people will love it.
Yeah. I do. I can see that, definitely. I can see that. Maybe I tell you what, I might stick it on one more time, have a couple more rucks. If the fights start to appeal a bit more from what you said, I might concentrate a little bit more on the pressings. Yeah. If I can get any joy out of that, if I'm still not feeling it, I'll cut it loose.
You also unlock super pressings, which is like super moves. Honestly, the game gets better in terms of combat the longer you play it. But
right. Okay.
Yeah, it's such a frustrating game. That's why, genuinely, when I had to score it, I was like, I don't know whether to really give it something that people think, I'll go and buy that, because you can't really, because there's so much that's fucked up with it.
Yeah, and also the other thing is, if you do have a PS3 and you can wait a week, and The Last of Us is going to come out. You've probably seen the reviews by now. They're quite good. It's probably the best ever. I mean, it can't be far off. I've never seen so many 10s, I don't think. I didn't actually give it a 10 for Games TM. I gave it a 9 with a bit in the text that actually said this is as close to a 10 as you can get without being a 10. Now, The Last of Us, as I said last week in slightly cheeky form, pre-embargo, is a rather special game. It is a long game. So I think I clocked in at 16 hours, and I don't know if that includes restarts, of which I had a fucking bunch because I did most of it on hard because I wanted to get into that atmosphere of survivalism. It ended up being too hard, so I had to switch down to normal. Naughty Dog have been a brilliant developer for a long, long time, but this, in my opinion, from the games that I've played of theirs, is their best game. It's the most narratively coherent, smart, systemically ingenious, brilliantly written, superbly acted game that they've done, and up there with games of all time. It's so clearly a masterpiece. What's strange is, talking about State of Decay before, The Last of Us is actually a way less ambitious game in terms of its gameplay, in terms of its systems. It's much more linear, driven, classic in some ways. We've played games like this before. It is ostensibly a stealth action game, similar in some ways to Manhunt. In fact, you play as Joel, played amazingly by Troy Baker. You couldn't believe that this is the same guy that played Booker DeWitt with his kind of sort of almost youngish, cheery voice. He plays the Flash in Injustice, even younger. I mean, he sounds like a fucking grizzled guy from the South. Most people could never even pick that it was the same guy. I don't think the guy's awesome. You play as Joel, Very soon, the game starts. I won't spoil too much, but the fucking event that is, this is an apocalyptic game. The game starts with that. It's fucking really dramatic, really exciting, really shocking, and then after that, 20 years later, and you pick things up as Joel. He's a smuggler. He's with his isn't she girlfriend Tess, and after a bit of meandering at the beginning, you're given the job to smuggle a girl called Ellie, who we've seen from the trailers, into a mysterious group called the Fireflies, who's like a sort of rebellious splinter group. That is where the journey begins, but it's certainly not where it ends. What the game entails is then a year in the lives of Joel and Ellie as they travel from Boston across America, taking in all sorts of people, all sorts of danger, and the infected, which are fucking gruesome. These mushroom-headed people that have been infected by the cordyceps mushroom. If you look on Google for cordyceps and what it does to insects, it's fucking hideous, and this is what it does to humans in this fiction. Really, really good. They are zombies, basically, but they're versions of them called clickers, which are the sort of seriously mutated ones. Really quite creepy. They use echolocation. They can't see you. They're an instant kill if they grab you, and to say it's tense is an understatement. But the thing that drives you through the game is there are two things. One, the story's brilliant. It's well-trodden ground. We've seen this stuff before, but it's rarely been written so well. And then I include, Walking Dead TV show, even, some great films in this. It's rarely been written so well with so much like heart and warmth, but it's really bleak as well, especially for a game. It's a big-budget game. It pulls no punches. And that stuff's completely captivating for the whole 16 hours. It never drags. It's beautifully paced. But on top of that, the stealth action itself is great, because unlike most stealth games where the idea is to get from A to B without ever being seen, the idea is that in The Last of Us most of the time, but most of the time that's just not going to happen. You're going to run into trouble, and when you run into trouble, all the systems come into play, which are brilliant animation, good AI, and just frantic survivalism and extreme unrepenting violence that is not gratuitous, or it doesn't kind of revel in its violence. It's just, as quick, nasty, brutal, and necessary. Yeah, that's the thing. You never feel like it's for no reason. So it kind of feels like Manhunt when you're sneaking around and you're so vulnerable, yet you're so deadly at the same time. When you sneak through and take out 5 guys in a house, it's incredibly satisfying. When one stumbles upon you and you have to fucking smash one, chuck a brick at another, sprint into the corner, hope they don't see you, quickly craft yourself a med kit so you can heal your wounds, pull your gun out, you've got 2 bullets, you just need to take this guy out, and otherwise he's going to kill you and his friends. That's just breathtaking. It throws in set pieces along the way. I don't want to spoil any more of the game, but it's one of the true greats. And with all the other 10s coming out, I'm like, damn, I could have probably just easily put that 10 on it. But there were a few sections where I kind of I was screaming at TV. It can be slightly frustrating at a few points, even on normal mode. And there's a few bits where it gets a bit too actiony for its own good for me to get it to 10. But at the same time, if I had ended up putting a 10, I wouldn't have regretted it at all. So, yeah, I feel like I've talked for about 25 minutes.
You haven't really. I wish you gave it an 8.
Why? For the drama?
We could have got some hip-hop gamer shit up in here.
That's Polygon gave it 7.5, didn't they? And they gave Remember Me an 8, which, horses for courses and all that bollocks, but wow.
And
some statements.
And someone pointed out they gave Dead Space like 9.3 or 93 or whatever.
Yeah, and in fact they gave State of Decay 8.5 today. So it's different critics and all that bollocks, but yeah, statements, definitely statements.
I've done the first 4 hours of Last of Us. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what to say about it, because it's clearly, of a couple of reviews that I've scanned have clearly said it's not the game that it starts out as is not the game that it ends as.
Yeah.
So Visually incredible. I mean,
I didn't mention that. Yeah,
few developers are given the keys to that machine, but when Naughty Dog are on it, it's absolutely incredible. Not just in terms of just aesthetics. I mean, the way that the characters interact and just the way the world. I mean, the opening is absolutely something else. The opening sort of prologue of about 10-15 minutes, it's so well done. I mean, it is like it's they've made things that look like and feel like movies before, but this is on a different level. It's incredible. I'm surprised it's getting those. I mean, I've done the first 4 hours, but the relentless 10 out of 10s. I mean, because it's a hardcore stealth game. At different points. I mean, I'm not a stealth person, and there were a couple of bits where I was like, "Wow, this is really fierce." So this mad love. But then again, I've done the first 4 hours, so I shouldn't talk. I'll say the people who will love it the most, because it is sort of. I won't say it's similar to Uncharted because it blatantly isn't, but just in terms of the controls, if you like, there's a lot of people who like the Uncharted games but hate the combat. I never really understood that. This is probably they're going to like this a hell of a lot more just because. But yeah, the storytelling's great so far. I mean, I've only done the first 4 hours, but I can't wait to do the rest. So
it gets better and better and better and better and better. Just keeps layering on quality systems. Ideas, nothing that changes the game massively, but just one little bit here, one little bit here, and the story gets better and better and better, and by the end, bam, awesome.
Is it better than Among Thieves though?
Is that number 2?
Yeah.
I think it's better than. But then I'm one of those people. I don't hate the combat in Uncharted. I just think it's kind of bland, and I really enjoyed just the kind of atmosphere and the story of those games. And Uncharted 2 has brilliant moments, amazing game. But this is a better game for me.
Okay, fine.
Because when it all breaks down, and the fucking combat goes off, it really does feel like nothing else. I find like just the brutality of it and what can happen, and how even if every time you do it, it's different. Yeah. And it's just some of the moments that I've had, just a phenomenal game. Phenomenal piece of work.
I really like the way that in the beginning it really encourages you to run away if things get really hectic.
Yeah.
So it is. You do feel the pressure of the violence much more so than you do in any other game I can think of. It's really, the violence is sparse, but it does have impacts when it happens. But yeah, I'll talk more about it next week. It's all right.
Yes, it's bloody damn good.
I just wish you gave it a lower
feels
score.
like it cost $100 billion.
It probably did.
Yeah, I'm sure it will actually end up not actually making Sony that much money, but it's more about the prestige and what it means, because there's a single format game. I mean, I'm sure it will sell very well, but god damn, it feels expensive.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It controls really nice. I thought it made me like the DualShock more than anything. It's so smooth.
But I like
on the sticks.
I say exactly the same thing about the Uncharted games.
Yeah, I do too. One thing I will say about this, Uncharted 3 falls apart towards the end. Uncharted 2, people don't like the blue. It's a spoiler. The blue guys at the end. Last of Us, don't worry about that shit.
Oh, good.
They don't let the side down towards the end.
I didn't think that. I never had a problem with that. But
Uncharted 3, it really does fall apart.
Yeah, I don't know.
But those fucking dusty blokes come at the end after all that. Yeah, I didn't even finish Uncharted 3.
Dusty pan. All right. Well. Okay, well, that's us done, I think. Thank you very much for listening. We'll, Facebook, Twitter, do all that shit if you want. It's all good.
Yeah, do it. At John Denton, at Chet Roivas, at Chet and Johns.
Genuine. We'll be back next week for more shizzle. And that is it, I think. Is that it? We're done.
Yeah, don't forget to check out the YouTube as well, Chet and Johns. Watch Chet's Week in Batters, mate. It is good. And one final thing, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, really appreciate it when people drop us a line on Twitter or Facebook with suggestions for stuff to play. We're always trying to cram out these lists, and it's really cool to see stuff that we might have missed. So yeah, much appreciated and massively encouraged. We will try and get on it all of the suggestions that come our way. So peace and love, motherfuckers.
Take it easy.
What's going on, guys? Now, as you can see right here, The Last of Us is getting amazing reviews. It has, I believe, 24 perfect scores right now, not including Adam Sessler's. So it's getting great reviews. 95 on Metacritic. So including Sessler's, you have 25 perfect reviews right now. And Game Trailers still haven't given their review yet because they haven't had enough of the multiplayer. But you can see the game is being praised by everybody. I mean, 25 perfect scores already. Now, two things that I noticed today. GameSpot gave the game an 80 when there was an industry insider yesterday that basically said with IGN's and GameSpot's reviews included, the lowest score that he had heard of was 93 at that time. So I think GameSpot probably lied and switched things around to get some attention, just a little conspiracy theory or whatever. But yeah, I think they're just basically trolling with this new review. They gave The Last of Us an 80. Now, the other thing I noticed was that Polygon gave the game a 7.5, as you can see right here. And this dude right here on Twitter, Philip Collar, is the dude that reviewed it. You can go send him hate if you want because, I mean, what I'm about to expose is pretty crazy. I want to give a shout out to the Hip Hop Gamer. He posted this link on Twitter just recently. Basically, Polygon had done a documentary a while back that Microsoft had funded. Microsoft had given them $750,000 to do this documentary, or to make this documentary or whatever. So, and here we see, people from Polygon even admit it. So Microsoft is basically, funding Polygon with some of the things that they want to do. Who's to say that they didn't pay them off to make this type of review? I'm just saying, when you see it getting just crazy, amazing reviews everywhere, dude. Adam Sessler said it's one of the best games he's ever played. I mean, when you see stuff like that, 25 perfect scores already, a 95 on Metacritic, even with Polygon and GameSpot's reviews. And I'm sorry, I'm still sick, guys. But so that's one thing. Now, here's the kicker. I just got on Facebook for the first time in I think 3 or 4 months or something. And this is what I see. In All Gamers Are One game group, this dude right here basically says, banned from Polygon. Don't bother defending The Last of Us on there. They hate that. He got banned for defending The Last of Us. So, I'm just saying, dude, who's to say that Microsoft isn't in charge of all this stuff when they see that they can't they can't compete with Naughty Dog, and like I said, this is just some conspiracy stuff that I've seen, but, I mean, when you see them being funded $750,000 before the site even got off the ground, there's where there's smoke, there's fire, guys. But that's basically all I have to say. I was going to make another video today about Sony at E3. It was going to be a really goofy one. But, I mean, when I saw this, I was like, this is too good to pass up. I'll probably just save it for next year, the E3 thing. And just include some clips from this year's E3. It's just a goofy, cheesy video, but this was too interesting to pass up. So that's basically that, guys. Later.